As tour leader of the 1977 Oregon Cave Overnight Tour, I rose early and drove out to beautiful downtown Sunnyside for breakfast. It had been a while since I'd been there, and from the looks of things it had been a while since anyone else had been there too. After not meeting anyone at the Enchanted Forest Rendezvous, I cheerfully headed down the road toward the Buena Vista Ferry. Ah, I thought, what a beautiful Oregon morning it is. Wonder if I should put the top down. I didn't have much time to think about it, though, for as I rolled along I knew I was having problems. Lucky thing for me, I thought, for as tour leader I was leading no one but myself. It wasn't long before I spotted the small ferry sign that let me know I was on the right track. Boarding the crowded ferry, all of us crossed the Willamette River. All of us, my Alfa and I. It's a good thing this ferry operator wasn't the same one I bragged to earlier in the week. Saturday morning you'll see over a dozen Alfas on this ferry. Rumph. Outside of Buena Vista, things began to liven up a bit, though, and I stopped to watch a horse eat his morning breakfast. Is that a short stack? Yeah. Not wanting to arrive in Albany too early, I stopped to shoot a couple of pictures of the car in the crisp, early morning Oregon sunshine. From the looks of the road here, I'm lost again. Between Albany and Buena Vista, the sky started to lighten up a bit, and seeing a clear road in front of me, I let the little Julietta stretch out. Here, as you can almost see on the speedo, I'm hitting about 115 to 120. Don't ask me why, but I thought it was interesting. A few hours later, after picking up Bill and Marion Gillum in Albany, and my friend Jane in Eugene, we stopped for lunch at a roadside park. The opportunity was there, so we decided to shoot a comparison picture of Bill's Alfa and a later model Porsche. We had lunch there in the park, up on top of a nice grassy knoll overlooking the countryside. It was all very delightful indeed, being marred only by Bill's uninhibited pose for the automatic camera. After lunch, we are once again headed south, and we don't stop until we reach a beautiful vantage point, offering us a view of No Name Mountain. We knew it must be No Name Mountain because there was no name on the map. A few minutes later, we arrived in Jacksonville. Jacksonville is one of the oldest continuous towns in the state. Its 19th century buildings and atmosphere supplied a marvelous backdrop and contrast to our spicy Italian Alfa Romeos, affording the photographer opportunities for some of those more unusual shots. We did have time to do what comes naturally in Jacksonville, window shop, discovering such niceties as food and other essentials. Peering in the alleys and backways, we turned up this cameo scene. And as the shadows were getting long, it was time to move out of Jacksonville and head down the road toward the caves. We didn't stop again until dinner, by which time it was dark. This next picture is the following morning in the caves. This, of course, you'll recognize as being the ghost room. Coming out of the caves, we discovered our cars being scrutinized by some of the local fauna. Surprising this little critter, he turned around and instead of running away or begging for crumbs, he asked instead for my camera, and he wanted me to pose beside the car. I refused, and instead offered him Jane, who graciously fed him peanuts. Here we see part of the unusual but beautiful cave chateau. You can even see the dormer here up on the roof where they wanted to put up Bill Gillum. But as that room and all the others there were too small for him, he ended up sleeping in the lobby that night. Leaving the caves, we stopped to shoot some fall colors, red, white, and yellow. and to give people who didn't make it a look at some of the straighter sections of road that leads to and from the caves. Outside of the National Forest, we were bombing along, and Jane suddenly shouted, "Look! Look!" I quickly caught sight of a huge weather vane out of the corner of my eye and did an immediate U-turn in the road, only to catch sight of Bill's distraught face flying by in the other direction. It seems they had been stuck behind a slow car for a few miles and had just blasted by it and were burning down the road as we came by the other way. Anyway, the people there were real friendly and happy to talk about the weather vanes they had built. Yeah, they even showed us a scrapbook of bygone vanes. We spent some time there, but of course had to be moving along, which brought us to this old mill and mill pond, and as it seemed to afford a nice backdrop, we stopped for a while. As Gillums drove around to the far side of the pond so I could get some pictures, we soon discovered that we weren't welcome. Here the Gillums get the 86 by this old buzzard. At our last rest stop, we had a chance to illustrate what not to do when taking pictures. For example, some of the cans in the background here could have been eliminated. And in fact, one of the large cans in the foreground could have been eliminated too. As the sun slowly sinks in the west, I raised my CB antenna in preparation for a last parting shot. We had a good time. Too bad you couldn't make it. Maybe next time.